More picks have officially been made in the 2023 WWE Draft, including several NXT superstars getting called up to the main roster, plus several stars are listed as free agents, meaning they can appear on both Raw and SmackDown. Details on that, plus we've got the early ratings for last night's episode of Friday Night SmackDown on Fox, of course that being night one of the WWE Draft. Impact Wrestling officially announces Trinity has signed with the company and her first match inside of an Impact Wrestling ring. Shawn Michaels comments on several NXT stars being called up as part of the 2023 draft. Bayley has commented on Damage Control being drafted to SmackDown. Former NXT star Cameron Grimes has possibly reacted to not being selected in the draft so far. Details on that. Plus, how far back did WWE plan Brock Lesnar to squash Kofi Kingston for the WWE Championship in 2019? Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of World Wrestling Entertainment. And the biggest story right now, of course, is the continuation of the 2023 WWE Draft. And more picks today have indeed been made. Of course, last night on SmackDown, WWE revealed the initial draft picks for both SmackDown and Raw brands. Some of the results were surprising to say the least, including Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair being drafted to SmackDown. However, fans won't have to wait until Monday's edition of Raw on USA Network for further draft updates. Today on the SmackDown Lowdown, WWE announced even more picks and hear who's headed where. Drafted to Monday Night Raw are the trio of the Viking Raiders and Valhalla. Dexter Lumis will be joining his wife Indy Hartwell on the red brand. Candice LeRae will be joining her former The Way faction mates, Natalya, but also as well there's a couple of NXT call-ups to Monday Night Raw too. The NXT call-ups are as follows. Zoe Stark will be heading to the red brand. Former NXT Cruiserweight Champion JD McDonough will also be heading to Monday Night Raw, as well as former Intercontinental and United States Champion Apollo Crews. He will also be heading to Monday Night Raw 2. The tag team of Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green, along with the Maximum Male models, that being Maxine Dupree, Mansoir, and Mace, will be heading to Raw as well. On the blue brand, on the SmackDown side of things, headed to SmackDown are the Hit Row trio of Top Dollar, Ashante, The Adonis, and B-Fab, as well as Lacey Evans. Interestingly, of course, that puts all four members of former NXT stable The Way on the Raw roster, although Johnny Gargano may possibly be drafted to SmackDown when more picks are made official on Monday night. Of course, we have night 2 of the draft on Monday. We will be doing a watch along and a post show for that as well. But what do you think of these initial new picks that have been announced today? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section below. But arguably, the most interesting part of today's events when it comes to the WWE Draft are the free agents. Now, this is really, really interesting. And I want to know you guys' thoughts on this because it's caused a bit of a stir on social media already. In a surprising move, the SmackDown Lowdown also confirmed that a few WWE superstars in the first draft pool are set to be free agents and are able to appear on either show, at least for now. In that category are Omos with manager MVP, Mustafa Ali, Dolph Ziggler, and NXT call-up Von Wagner. Now, in the case of Omos, the on-screen explanation for his free agency is that his manager, MVP, negotiated him into that position. However, it remains unclear exactly why Ali, Ziggler, and Von Wagner were not drafted to a specific brand as for now. As I mentioned, WWE, they posted on their Twitter account, as well as explaining it on the show, but this is what they said on their Twitter account. Quote, as announced on SmackDown Lowdown, the following superstars have been declared free agents and can appear on Raw and SmackDown: Mustafa Ali, Dolph Ziggler, and Von Wagner. Furthermore, MVP has negotiated a deal for Omos to be a free agent and appear on both shows. Now, I don't know at this time. We haven't really had too much of an explanation on this. We don't know if they're free agents for now and eventually they're going to sign with either brand, or we don't know if they're just going to be people that just float between both shows, which lots of people have been saying already. If they're just going to float between both shows, that doesn't make a lot of sense considering the draft is meant to separate the rosters. You can't just have people that are then just floating between the two, can you? Hopefully this will be explained more before we get to Raw on Monday. Now, in addition to that, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select has posted an interesting tidbit in today's report saying, quote, those that Fightful spoke to on Saturday were puzzled by some of the, quote, free agents, including Omos, who has been booked against Brock Lesnar and Seth freaking Rollins. Of course, he faced Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. He's facing Rollins at Backlash. He's certainly, in storyline, considered a major superstar. So why wouldn't a major superstar be drafted drafted unless, as they're saying, MVP negotiated for him to be a free agent. But again, that doesn't make a lot of sense when it comes to all the rules for the draft. I don't know. What do you think of it? Is it WWE already violating their own rules when it comes to the draft, or do they just don't know what to do at the moment? Are they keeping their options open? Let me know your thoughts on it all. It's very interesting in the comment section below. As far as the ratings for last night's edition of SmackDown, we don't have the exact figures just yet, but the preliminary numbers are in for the April 28 episode of Friday Night SmackDown on Fox. Spoiler TV reported on April 29 that WWE SmackDown on April 28 averaged 2.298 million viewers in the preliminary figures. The first hour scored 2.249 million viewers, while the second hour had 2.347 million viewers. This number is up significantly from the April 21st episode, which drew 2.088 million viewers in the prelim numbers. Friday's episode scored a 0.61 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic, with the first hour coming in at a 0.57 and the second hour decreasing to a 0.61. The preliminary rating for the April 21st came in at a 0.49 rating, and in the 18 to 49 demographic. So certainly, again, decent numbers in the prelim numbers. They probably will fluctuate a little bit, but as you would expect, the numbers are fairly strong for a draft episode, and WWE will be hoping that it continues into Raw on Monday. Now, switching gears here to Impact Wrestling, we spoke about this earlier today, but it has been now made official. Former WWE SmackDown Women's Champion Trinity Fatu, formerly known as Naomi, will make her Impact Wrestling in-ring debut on Saturday, April 29, that being today. Impact Wrestling has confirmed that Trinity will be in action at this weekend's Spring Slugfest show against Knockouts Tag Team Champion Kylan King. Trinity made her Impact debut during the April 28 set of television tapings. Her match against Kylan King will be her first bout since teaming with Mercedes Moné, formerly known as Sasha Banks, at a WWE house show on May 15, 2022, so close to nearly 1 full year since she last wrestled an official match. The two stars walked out on the Raw taping the following night and went on wrestling hiatuses for the rest of the year. Moné returned to the ring in February at the New Japan Battle in the Valley event, defeating Kairi for the IWGP Women's Championship, which she has since lost. The New Japan/Stardom star was spotted in Chicago ahead of the recent Impact Wrestling taping, which would ultimately feature Trinity's return to wrestling. Most likely, it's a case of her supporting her friend the same way that Trinity did with Moné in Japan as well. Trinity is advertised for next week's edition of Impact Wrestling Television, with the popular star set to cut a promo and having a live mic, as Impact Wrestling has announced. Now, on her WWE exit, Trinity Fatu has spoken about this as well. Speaking to NBC Chicago, Trinity was asked about her time away and her WWE exit. She said, quote, "I've been wrestling 14 years now, and then one day everything just changed, and I felt like my whole world was turned upside down and things were shuffled around. It took a little time just to process everything and really sort of what I want to do, where I want to be," Trinity said. "I feel like it was a blessing in disguise. I feel that it's allowed me to grow and become better in every way, in every aspect, show me how strong I really am, and now I've got this new journey ahead of me, these new goals, and I'm excited and ready to step into this new chapter." As I mentioned, Trinity will wrestle her first match since May of last year at tonight's Impact tapings in Chicago, where she faces Kylan King. She said, quote, "Being back in wrestling and being with my pack in place where I feel so welcome, and just for the opportunity, just receiving all the love, it was very, very overwhelming, and I really felt in my heart like I really did. I couldn't even hide the emotion." So Trinity is going to be back in Impact Wrestling. We don't know how long she's going to be there for, it must be said. We don't know if she signed a deal, or if it's on a per appearance deal, or it's on a handshake deal. If we get any more details than that, of course, we'll let you know in the future. Talking about the draft once again, night one of the draft, of course, kicked off last night, seeing a number of top stars such as Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, Bianca Belair swap brands. Among the movers were a number of NXT stars who were granted call-ups to the main roster, while big NXT names such as Bron Breakker, Cameron Grimes, and Zoe Stark were rumoured to move. Of course, we know that Stark has already now moved as part of the updated picks today. Instead, it was the turn of NXT Women's Champion Indy Hartwell and NXT Women's Tag Team Champions Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn, who were drafted to Raw and SmackDown respectively. On stage to deliver the news was NXT boss Shawn Michaels, who seemed perplexed to see every one of his female champions moved elsewhere. Despite his reaction at the time, Michaels would later reflect on the draft and offer his support to all three stars who got called up. Michaels tweeted, quote, "What an amazing night for the WWE Draft and the WWE NXT roster. I'm so excited for our NXT superstars as they move forward and forge their own path on Raw and SmackDown. Congratulations to our champs Indy Hartwell, Alba Fyre, and Isla Dawn." As I mentioned, there has still been quite a lot of speculation as to other names that could be called up. There have been names such as Bron Breakker. We know Zoe Stark has been called up, but Pretty Deadly, Tyler Bate, Cora Jade, Ilya Dragunov are also names that have been rumored to be called up. They could be part of the picks this coming Monday on Raw, or possibly after Raw as well. Remember, the rosters officially take place, or the brand switches officially take place after Backlash this coming weekend. Now, one name that did move brands, of course, was Bayley, along with Damage Control. Despite seemingly being on the verge of a potential breakup, Damage Control, that being Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai, were all drafted as a unit to Friday Night SmackDown on night one of the WWE Draft. The trio were not present in Corpus Christi, Texas for the show, instead being on WWE's European tour. However, the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion of all time, Bayley, would address the group's move via her Twitter. She would also call out SmackDown commentator that she's had her fair share of issues with in the past, Michael Cole. Bayley tweeted, quote, "Fell asleep in Ireland, woke up on SmackDown. Looks like Michael Cole finally had his prayers answered." Much of Bayley and Michael Cole's issues stem from Bayley's previously mentioned record-breaking title run between 2019 and 2020. As for Damage Control themselves, Io Sky is set to challenge for Bianca Belair's Raw Women's Championship at Backlash on May 6. Belair was also drafted to SmackDown on Friday's show, so it's naturally led to a lot of questions surrounding the women's title scene, with Belair referring to herself as the SmackDown Women's Champion during her promo, acknowledging the move to Fridays as well. So we'll have to wait and see if we get any more information as to what they plan for the Women's Championships in WWE. I spoke about Cameron Grimes earlier on, and lots of people have expected him to be part of this draft, but as of right now, no dice. While several stars have moved shows, others have become free agents. It's the NXT Call Ups that are getting the most attention, with JD McDonough, Zoe Stark, Von Wagner, and Apollo Crews making their way to the main roster, or back in Apollo's case, as well as NXT Women's Champion Indy Hartwell and the Tag Team Champions Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn being drafted on the main show. There are a number of new NXT stars set to make a splash. However, there are still numerous names that many expected to see in the draft that have yet to be drafted, including Cameron Grimes, who has not been seen on WWE television at all in months. Grimes took to Twitter shortly after the announcement of the SmackDown Lowdown picks, seemingly reacting to him not yet being drafted, simply sharing a gif of SpongeBob waiting. Obviously, there is still one more night of the draft yet to go, which will take place on next week's episode of Monday Night Raw. The rosters will take effect on the May 8 episode of Raw, following the Backlash event on May 6, so still plenty of time for Cameron Grimes to be drafted, but as of right now, no Cameron Grimes on the main roster. Finally, this is a bit of a throwback story, but I find it absolutely fascinating because still to this day, nearly 4 years removed, it's a moment that people still are so angry about, and I guess rightfully so, and that is Kofi Mania dying in about, 6 seconds or something like that. Now, one of the most controversial booking decisions over the last few years was set at months ahead, according to a former WWE writer. Brock Lesnar infamously crushed Kofi Kingston in October 2019 in the SmackDown debut on Fox, also crushing many fans. The reaction following the move, even to this day, was very polarizing to say the least. Many who defended the move claimed it was a result of an underwhelming title reign. However, one WWE writer spoke to Fightful and seemed to nix that possibility. This is absolutely fascinating. This was on Fightful Overbook's In the Weed show. Shout out to Jeremy Lambert and Joe Pearl. And it was actually Dave Schilling, a former WWE writer, that opened up on this and revealed how far in advance this match, and specifically this finish, this whole plan, was actually planned out. He said, quote, "I was there in 2019. I was on the home team of SmackDown. The thing that we were the most concerned with and most involved with was Kofi Mania. That was a storyline that traded on a lot of attitudes about race and ideas who should or shouldn't be champion. I never felt like the storyline was disrespectful. I never felt that the storyline was treated in a way where Kofi came off as a token champion. That was a great storyline, and I'm very proud of the small part that I had to play in that. We can debate how it turned out in the end when he lost to Brock Lesnar, which I found out about in April. We were talking about the plan is the first SmackDown on Fox. Brock is going to come in and win the title, and it's going to be a quick match. That's exactly what happened after I left. That's the way it turned out. The writers in the room with me were incredibly aware of what we were doing and why it was important." So, according to the writer, Brock Lesnar beating Kofi quickly, that was always the plan. Even when they were planning out Kofi Mania, they were saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, Brock's going to beat Kofi," which seems quite strange because at the time, in early 2019, when Brock dropped the Universal Championship to Seth Rollins in the opening match of WrestleMania 35, at the time there was a feeling Brock might be leaving to go to UFC. So clearly those plans, as with anything, changed very quickly, and Brock, he was always tied into WWE. So a very interesting insight onto how that whole thing played out. But there you go, guys. It's the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.